Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Last week I was in Orlando, Florida for ICAST, and Yamamoto launched a whole line of fuzzy baits. I wanted to give you an overview of those baits and when they're available, colors, and just my thoughts about that whole fuzzy generation of baits that's out there on the market and the ones that Yamamoto is bringing to you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you like the content, please go ahead and subscribe. That's probably one of the best ways to help the channel grow, and I would certainly appreciate it. But let's get right into it. I'm gonna go from the smallest fuzzy bait to the largest fuzzy bait. And if you're not familiar at all with fuzzy baits, basically fuzzy baits are plastic baits that have either silicone and or living rubber threaded through the baits. And really, if I'm not mistaken, that's the best way to put the threaded rubber or the silicone through the baits, is just really to thread them through. They don't inject those baits with those tentacles in there. They actually have to thread them through. So it's a labor intensive bait. And this whole line of fuzzy baits is really interesting because it was something that was started in Japan, and they were started in basically in like dice type baits. And from dice type baits, it's kind of expanded. Essentially what you have is you have soft plastic baits in various shapes and sizes with this threaded living rubber and or silicone to give it this kind of secondary action and to slow the fall and just to give it an overall look of liveliness and movement in the water. The first one I want to go over is the fuzzy nut. I did a video on it last week before I headed to ICAST, so I'm just going to give you the most brief overview of that bait. Essentially, that bait is 1.5 inches made with a heavyweight salt formulation so that it sinks and you can cast it better. It has a bottom weight design which essentially enables it to kind of backslide. And if you're not familiar with the backslide is something that when you pull the bait toward you, it'll come up and then it'll slide away from you if you give it slack. So that's something that's really popular for like undercut banks, docks, overhanging trees, and different things like that. It's something that's really popular in Japan. There's going to be 10 different colors, and those baits will be available sometime in July. The next one is this fuzzy Nookie, and it's really kind of a spin-off of the Yamamoto Nookie. If you're familiar with that bait, again, it's a heavyweight formula bait. Because of its heavyweight formula, you can make a really long cast, and you can fish it in deeper water without any weight. Comes in a 2.5 inch and a 3.5 inch size. It's also available in July and has 8 different colors. And the last one is the fuzzy Senko. The fuzzy Senko is available in 8 colors, 4 and 5 inch sizes. And again, it is threaded with this skirting type material to add another layer of action or movement in the water as you fish this traditional bait that's caught fish and is of legendary status in the bass fishing community for I don't know how long time. What's interesting about the fuzzy lineup of baits is you have the look and feel and colors of soft plastic, but then you have some of that bulk you kind of draw from what it would be like to have a jig. You kind of blend the two together, and instead of having a weighted bait, you have a weightless bait that you can fish several different ways. You could add weight to it, but because it's weightless, as we all know, the Senko is amazing because you can fish it weightless, that weightless fall, the shimmy. I feel like more times than not, if you can fish a bait weightless, it's just gonna get more bites. It's such a natural look, a slow fall, that rate of fall with the action. It's really hard for fish to pass up. So this new fuzzy line of baits, it's interesting because I think a lot of people are like, well, what are they even supposed to be? Well, a lot of baits we have and fish are really kind of the same thing. We don't really know what they're supposed to imitate. I think in essence, a spinnerbait is something that I think really, if you look at it with the blades and the wire and the skirt, I feel like more times than not, it's a profile and a look that fish just are used to feeding upon. When you incorporate it in certain conditions, fish just bite a spinnerbait really well. And there's several other type baits like that, like a Senko, for instance. I mean, we can argue that it's a worm, but fish will bite it when they're feeding on bait fish. Fish will bite it when they're feeding on crawfish, bluegill. So it's very interesting. Bass are such opportunistic feeders that if they see something that looks somewhat like they're used to feeding upon, they're going to eat it, or at least they're going to take it in their mouth because really they don't have hands. That's really the way they check things out to see if they want it. And I think more times than not, a new shape, a new look, a new design, an action can get more attention from fish that have kind of tuned out some things. So this is going to add a new development as far as presentations and actions that the fish haven't seen as much. Another thing is, I just recently saw something on Instagram where a guy was talking about percentages of prey items that bass like to eat or prefer to eat. And bait fish is definitely number one. I can't remember what the percentage was, but this is the thing that really stuck out to me. Number two is like 31 or 32% is an invertebrate. An invertebrate is really just some sort of an insect like hellgrammites or dragonflies, just bugs, insects, different things like that. You know, you don't think about that much, but I know that bass do feed on things that fall into the water, whether it's grasshoppers or cicadas or mayflies, just that whole genre of insect invertebrates that fall into the water, that are in the water that bass actually eat. And crawfish actually fell below that. It was like at 19% of what they eat. And I think that statistic could vary and differ depending upon the watery environment that the fish are in, but it's something to take into consideration. And I think with all the tentacles, the skirting material, all that with this new fuzzy lineup of baits could really fall into that insect genre. So new baits from Yamamoto. Wanted to share that with you guys. The fuzzy lineup of baits that are coming at you from Yamamoto should be available sometime in July. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you got anything out of it, please give me a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this whole fuzzy bait craze that's going on. Also, go over to the description section. There you'll find links to my social media, website, as well as my merch lineup, Team Niggemeyer Fishing. And then lastly, there's a discount code for Amphibia eye gear, floating sunglasses that are ANSI rated that'll protect your eyes. Until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.